The check engine light on my 2003 GMC Sonoma is illuminated, so in order to sell this vehicle, I'm first going to try to eliminate two codes. One code is P0449, the second code is P0446. P0449 is an evap emission vent valve solenoid. That relates to this part here, so we're going to replace the old with the new. You can try to diagnose this and maybe fix it with an old part, but I'm going to just replace the part. It's rather cheap anyway. The second code, P0446, is an evap emission vent system performance. This very well may be caused by a clogged, just problematic charcoal filter, so I'll replace the old with the new. Also, I've had issues filling the gas tank. It doesn't want to take gas very quickly on this vehicle, so that is likely caused by this same thing. Alright, I've already removed these old parts. I'm going to still show you how that was done, and then we'll swap it for our new parts. Alright, let's crawl underneath the back of this truck with all of our parts. A 13mm socket, 10mm socket, and a 13mm wrench. Alright, it's rather tight in here, but you can see here this plastic tank, that's the gas tank, and these parts we're replacing are related to control of the emissions from that gas tank, the fumes. So they are near the gas tank. Charcoal filter here, and then our valve here with the solenoid inside of it. These are the original parts. I've put them in here just so you can see where they fit. You want to remove a number of hoses. There's three. One, oh, it just fell off. Two, and then a third one back here. From here, the valve, disconnect your electrical line. That's a clip that I did not break. These other clips you can do better than I can. They just were so fragile and brittle, they broke for me. You can see part of that clip mechanism here. Some of it broke off already. It was so brittle. I think to properly remove this, you'd have to shove a screwdriver in here to get that to release, and then it would come off like you see here. Even with this clip broken, I'm still going to reuse this original part. There's an O-ring in there that seals quite well, and I think it'll hold just fine on the new cartridge filter. And then really important on this cartridge is that you have to remove from the front side of it a nut that's holding it in with a metal clip, and then it still has a really hard time coming out unless you also loosen up back in this direction some bolts using your 13mm wrench. And I'll show you here where those are. I'm gonna have a really hard time showing you where those are at, but it's right behind the rear tire, if you see what's going on back here. Okay, there you go. You can see my wrench on one of the nuts or bolts. I don't know what it is. I think it's a nut. And there's a second one further toward the front of the vehicle. You can remove those entirely. Most people did that I saw, although I got by with just loosening it. With that metal bracket holder loosened and your lines removed from the cartridge filter, let's get our third one. The cartridge filter slides out. It's tough to see here, but the new cartridge filter is installed outside of attaching some of the tubes. Check the orientation when you install it. This is the original filter, and a clip is going to hold the new filter in like this. You'll want to install the filter so that you can use that clip properly. So not like this, but like this, with this little plastic feature oriented downward. With my clip installed, I'm going to attach a nut to a bolt that is sitting there and use a socket. This is a smaller one, the 10mm. That's going to tighten that up. And let's assemble our new valve assembly. Connect the electric. That's good, snapped on. And now our final tube. These two, the cartridge filter and the valve assembly, connect to one another with a plastic tube. I might secure that better with a zip tie, and maybe even later buy a new tube, because this just snapped a little bit. It's brittle and old. And finally, in order to tighten up this bracket that holds the cartridge in place. I'm going to tighten these bolts here between the tire here and the frame. One bolt, this is the 13mm wrench, and a second bolt back here further. It's hard to see what's going on here, but tighten both of those up. And now everything is rather buttoned up and in place. My new cartridge, my new valve solenoid. I might get a new tube yet that's a little bit busted and brittle connecting the two, but this should already remove the engine codes. Let's check it out. I reset the check engine error codes. You can do this by removing power from your battery or using a diagnostics tool. After doing this and running around with the truck a bit, the check engine light has not turned on. We've successfully fixed our vehicle, and the parts that we used for this repair are in the link below. I hope this helps you with your project.